Hey all, Todd here, and welcome back to another Wellness Talks Brief. Now in this video, I'm actually going to go into detail a topic that I utilize in session quite a bit, where I've had a lot of nice feedback several days, a week, or a month after the fact. This is a concept that has stuck in their minds and has helped to alleviate some of the stress and the anxiety, or at least given them a much better understanding of where we tend to focus our attention, where our minds typically go. Now, after listening to it, if you enjoy it, please give a thumbs up below. And of course, you can always subscribe to get more like this. So I'd like for you to just take a moment and just sit back and notice that there are three time orientations that are available to us: the future, the past, and right now, the present. Now, one of the keys here is in understanding anxiety and depression in relation to time is that anxiety tends to be future oriented and depression tends to be past oriented. And this is a very key component to pay attention to. If you find that you are anxious all the time, there's just a high level of anxiety, then the chances are your mind is focusing on the future. We're constantly thinking, what if? And we can hyper-focus too much on what's going on in the future. So anxiety is a future-oriented phenomena, and an anxiety disorder is when we are hyper-focused and we're afraid of the fear of the future. It's compounded and it lasts for a long time. So keeping it simple, future orientation is where anxiety resides. Now, depression, on the other hand, is things that we could have done, we should have done, we had an opportunity and we passed on, and there's a lot of reminiscing or even thinking of the good times that aren't happening right now. So we're reflecting backwards. Depression, then, is a past orientation. Future orientation, anxiety; past orientation, depression. Now, of course, there are some exceptions to that rule. There's a lot of other components that go inside of here, but this is just a concept to just begin to chew on and find out how true it is for you. And at the very least, it helps you to become a little clearer, a little more concise on where the probable source of our distress is coming from. Now, I haven't talked about the present, though. And here's what's amazing about that is here, this is why mindfulness type tools typically work, or reflective tools. If I can stay right here in this moment, there's no surprise. There's just what's happening right now. What's also interesting about right now is that everything that's in the past is in the past. It can't be undone. I'm just here now. Actually, everything you've just watched is already part of the past. The only place that you and I actually exists is right here, right now. And if you think about it, physically, that's the only place we ever exist. This body of mine never exists in the future. This body of mine does not exist in the past. My memory of this body a few seconds ago is already in the past. As these words come out of my mouth, they're already in the past. This is the present moment. And physically, objectively, there's neither anxiety nor depression, there's no future, there's no past. Those are all mental constructs. That is the mind. And that actually is one of the unique things that makes being human, is that we have this amazing tool, this mind, which can actually start to section off and see a timeline. One thing came before another thing came before another thing came, and we can begin to project and we can begin to strategize and analyze and see and predict what the future might be. It's still a prediction. It's never 100% this is absolutely going to happen. But that mind has given us so many good things. But it's not unusual when something hits us from out of left field and throws us out of whack that we really start to double down and triple down and quadruple down on planning and predicting and analyzing and being and strategizing, and we get locked into that along with our luggage, our baggage of everything that actually went wrong. Not necessarily a bad thing. I do want to keep that, hold that in my mind so that I don't make the same mistakes. At the same token, I don't necessarily want to be dragging a whole lot of luggage and baggage with me because that just bogs me down, makes me heavy. I want to use that as a guide of where to go, but not necessarily get trapped back in there with a backward-facing past orientation. It's extremely common. It's super easy for us to do. We don't even realize that this is the process. This is how the mind is actually working. And that's where the mindfulness type practices are extremely important. They allow us every once in a while just to pause, to give ourselves some space and to be present right now in this moment. Notice that we have a tendency of focusing on the future and the anxiety that goes with it. Notice that we have a tendency of looking through the past and finding our mistakes so that we can figure out how to become better today than we were the day before in history, but also making sure that we don't get too heavily fused into the future and our anxiety, or too heavily fused into the past, our depression, and places where things did not go how we were hoping they would. So I hope you will like this concept and that you'll find it useful. And remember, if you did, please be sure to like below. And along with that, if you like what I had to say here and you'd like to get more of this, be sure to subscribe. And of course, you can always check me out on the Patreon page. And until next time, may you be well.